After that time, you start learning what it's like to be a film critic and have to sit through film after film after film. And everybody who was bringing all the pictures to Cannes didn't know anything about any of them, because we had to see 22 pictures in 8 or 10 days. And so you just heard the word, but everybody purposely stayed away from, so nobody said much of anything. There was a wide variety of films that year, and I was zeroing in my mind on a couple that I thought were really interesting. And then when Pulp Fiction came along, I think it was the next to the last day, they ran it there, and we sat there and watched it, and it sort of drew everybody in pretty well. And then I was amazed, it was the European guys on the jury that really started jumping, turned around, a couple of them turned around and said, "That's the best picture, that's the picture of this festival." And I didn't jump, I was kind of still weighing things in my mind, but I said, yeah, boy, it's definitely interesting. And it was exciting, and it came at a time we needed a little excitement too. It came right after a couple that were lulling there. So it was refreshing, and then everybody started talking about it, and we went back and looked at a couple more films, and then when they got into the jury room, everyone was kind of unanimous that would be the picture.
The Palme d'Or. Goes to Pulp Fiction.
I mean, I'll quickly just say Pulp Fiction. I was 10, and I went to the movie with my dad, and I think he just didn't have a babysitter. He didn't have a babysitter.
I remember going to see Pulp Fiction with him in the movie theater. I was 94, so I was 10.
But I remember I think he saw it for the second time, because I remember he had the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, the soundtrack was a big deal in our home before the movie came out.
Oh, so you listened to the soundtrack before you went to the movie?
Yes. But I didn't, that was a weird concept to me, because our dad blasted music. It was like full volume.
And he would play the soundtrack. He loved playing music really loud. And he played the soundtrack. And I remember the CD, you put it on, it starts off with, "If you motherfuckers last move, I'm gonna shoot every last one of you."
You know, like, every motherfucker, you know? Yeah. And then it jumps into Dick Dale.
And then it goes into the Dick Dale.
Right.
That was the CD. And it had these like audio dialogue interludes and such a great soundtrack. So I remember hearing it in the movie, being like, "Oh my God, I know this."
So I knew all the, all that Pulp Fiction.
The sound scenes.
I remember being in the theater, being like, "Oh, I know this from what I heard."
But I knew it from like a CD, and that was weird to me.
And having that concept of like the consumerist whatever idea of movies and promotion.
Again, it's all this fusion of real life and fiction.
And I remember the lights coming up at the UA.
But the only thing I remember from watching that movie in theaters was the people throwing popcorn at him when we were leaving.
But I remember the lights coming up and people throwing popcorn at him.
You're like, "How dare you bring kid to this movie?" So I don't have any memory of watching the film. And it's very possible I was like sleeping, or I just have no memory of it. But it's a shame though, because I was 10 years old. He claims he only brought us into the end to rewatch it and a theater after we saw something else. I don't know. I just
it's
remember
still pretty hairy for a 10-year-old.
I remember the popcorn. Let's just say that.
What I love about the picture is the structure, the way he tells the story. There's many different stories, and literally the humor, the irony, and all based on the bedrock of American pop culture, which threw me at first in terms of, at first I approached the picture as a kind of realistic film in a way, or naturalist, not naturalistic, but realistic in the way these people would behave. But who are these people? I never met people like this.
In the 90s, that existentialism, the idea of what we do with our lives, has been replaced by irony, and so that everything has quotation marks around it. Your films are not in quotation marks. They are meant. Do you feel any urge at all to start using the quotation marks, or is it just
never
alien to you as a filmmaker?
No, I just can't. I just have to be attracted to the material, really the characters, the morality of the characters is what I'm interested in, and how one deals with morality in today's world.
And Pulp Fiction isn't really about morality at all.
No.
What's your favorite Tarantino film?
Wow. I mean, every time you make a new one, it becomes your favorite. But I guess I gotta, go back to Pulp Fiction as the foundation that gave me a different way of looking at film. I call him the modern day father of Pulp Fiction. He opened up a box that filmmakers all around the world realize that the rules can be broken to a degree, but still held within a frame. So, yeah, Pulp Fiction, I would say. When you look at Pulp, let me say this real quick, and this is me just talking out loud. When you look at Pulp Fiction, one of the things that blow us away about Pulp Fiction when our first viewing is the timeline is completely broken.
Yeah.
And it really could puzzle you for almost the first few minutes when you first watch. You're like, wait, I thought that guy was dead. What is he doing in the book? Okay. And we haven't really seen that a lot. Of course, Tarantino owned it. You know what I mean? I think after Quentin made Pulp Fiction, he kind of like unlocked the holy grail for a lot of minds in film. Well, I mean, you can't find a better teacher in filmmaking, I think, than Quentin Tarantino. He's one of the great minds of filmmaking, a walking encyclopedia. And that inspiration and that time I spent with him was probably as good as going to any Ivy League college to study, because I got it right from the horse's mouth. And I hope that when we make our show and anything you see me doing in film, you can see some of that energy and some of that knowledge, transmit through my productions.
Badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly. Alright, pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, badass pimp daddy, fucking super fly.